Hello, my dear students of class 8. Welcome to your social science class. So, students, in our last class, what did we discuss? We discussed about the two systems of indigo cultivation, the niche cultivation system and the rioty system. So, what was the niche system? The niche system basically means the cultivation of indigo by the planters on land where they had direct control. So sometimes they bought land on their own, or sometimes they even took land on rent from the zamindars, and then they hired farm laborers to work on the land to cultivate indigo. But then there were several problems which were associated with the niche cultivation system. First, in order to cultivate indigo on such a large scale, it required huge plots of land. But students, most of the land were already densely populated. Some very small scattered plots of land over the landscape were available. Sometimes the planters, they thought of taking land on lease from the zamindars, but then these created conflict among the planters and the peasants. And then students, the second problem was, in order to cultivate indigo on a large scale, the planters required huge manpower. Labor was required on a very large number. But then students, most of the laborers were usually engaged with their rice cultivation, so that they could not give sufficient time to the indigo cultivation. So this was another problem. And then the third problem was, large number of plows and bullocks were required, but then these plows and bullocks were also usually engaged in rice cultivation. So it was difficult for the planters to acquire plows and bullocks on such a large number. And then students, owing to these difficulties associated with these niche cultivation system, the planters later on adopted another system of indigo cultivation, that is the rioty system. So under the rioty system, what happened? The ryots or the peasants were required to sign a contract. The name of the contract was satta, and when they refused to sign the contract, the village headmen were forced to sign the contract on behalf of the ryots. And once the contract was signed, it meant that the ryots had agreed to use at least 25% of their land holdings to cultivate only indigo, and they were given some cash payments in advance or some kind of loan for at a very low interest rate. But then they were given the seeds and the drills by the planters, and the ryots were required to sow the seeds, prepare the soil, and look after the cultivation. So students, initially some of the ryots were very much tempted because they got cash payments in advance, but later on they realized how harsh the system actually was. So gradually the ryots became reluctant to grow indigo because it was a very oppressive policy. So students, not only that, the ryots were also forced by the planters to grow indigo on the best land, the land which was the most fertile. But most of the time, these lands were preserved by the ryots to grow rice. And once they cultivate indigo on the land, the fertility of the soil was lost. So that was another major problem associated with indigo cultivation. So both these systems, that is niche cultivation system and rioty system, turned out to be quite ineffective in the long run. So students, owing to the difficulties faced by the ryots and the peasants, they finally thought of revolting against the planters. So this is the next topic, or you can say the last topic of this chapter, that is the blue rebellion. Blue rebellion means indigo, blue color, and rebellion means uprising, revolt. So faced with such oppressive policies of the British, the ryots or the peasants, they finally decided to revolt or rebel against the planters. So students, this brings us to the last topic of this chapter. So students, the learning objectives of our today's class are: number 1, to understand what led or what compelled the ryots to rebel or revolt against the planters, against the indigo planters, and also to understand about the consequence or what happened after the blue rebellion. Okay. So students, the indigo cultivation system was actually a very oppressive system in which the ryots or the peasants, they were forced to sign contracts, they were forced to work hard. So after toiling so much and having faced with such oppressive policies, the ryots or the peasants, they finally decided that they will no longer tolerate all these oppressive policies, rather they will raise their voice. So they decided to revolt or rebel against the planters by refusing to grow indigo anymore, and this happened in March 1859. So students, there were several measures or steps which were taken by the ryots to refuse to grow indigo anymore. So the first step which was taken by the ryots were they refused to pay rent to the planters. They said that they will no longer pay any rent to the planters. And then they also attacked the indigo factories with swords and spears, whatever equipments or whatever weapons they had, they used all of those to attack the indigo factories. They used swords and spears, bows and arrows, and the women peasants, they also used the household equipments, the kitchen utensils, pots, pans, to attack the indigo industries. And then students, there were some ryots who were still working for the planters. There were some ryots who did not take part in the rebel. So those ryots who did not take part in the rebel, or those ryots who were still working for the planters, were boycotted by the rebels. That means those who were rebelling, those who thought to rebel against the planters, they boycotted those ryots who were not participating in the rebel. And then the gomasthas, or the agents of the planter who came to collect the rent, they were severely beaten up by the ryots, because the ryots, they were so agitated that they could no longer tolerate all these oppression of the planters. So by any means they started to refuse or to refute the orders of the planters. So they also refused to take any more advances. They said that they will no longer accept any more cash payments to cultivate indigo, or they also said that they will no longer accept, or they will no longer tolerate the bully by the lathials. Lathials means the people, or the strongmen of the planters, who were maintained by the planters to protect them, to threaten the riots. So they refused to take any more advances. Also they refused that they will no longer be bullied by the lathials. That means the strong lathi wielding men which were maintained by the planters to threaten the peasants, to force them to grow indigo. So they refused to accept any of the policies or accept any of the terms and conditions which were put across by the planters. So in this way they started taking various steps to rebel against the planters. And then students, have you ever thought what gave them so much of courage or so much of power to start this rebellion? There must be some reason behind this, isn't it? Because all of a sudden it cannot happen that the riots got the courage to fight against the planters. No, it did not happen all of a sudden. There were certain reasons which gave the riots the courage to rebel against the planters. So students, the first reason was in 1859, the riots, they felt that they were not alone. They had the support of the village headmen and the zamindars against the planters. So why did they feel that they had the support of the village headmen and zamindars? This is because students, when the riots were forced to sign a contract, that is satta, it was the village headmen who protected the riots by helping them to escape the village, and sometimes these village headmen even fought pitched battles with the lathials to protect the riots from signing the satta. And then students, in some places, in some other villages, it was the zamindars who urged the riots to resist or to refuse the planters. So the zamindars requested the riots not to sign any more contracts. So seeing all these things, the riots felt that they were supported by the village headmen and the zamindars. So this gave them the courage to start this revolt against the planters. And then students, the reason why the zamindars supported the riots was because the zamindars were unhappy because of the growing power of the planters. Initially, it was the zamindars who had all the power. Initially, it was the zamindars who used to exploit the riots. But with the coming of the planters, the zamindars themselves were exploited. So the zamindars could not tolerate this. The zamindars could not bear the increasing power of the planters, because sometimes the planters even force the zamindars to sign contract to give them land on contract or land on lease for a very long period of time. So all these things agitated the zamindars. So the zamindars decided to support the riots instead. Students, the peasants or the riots expected support not only from the zamindars or from the village headmen, but they expected support from the British government as well in this struggle against the planters. Why? This was because after the revolt of 1857, the British government was particularly afraid of another revolt against them. So this time the peasants thought that they will be supported by the British government. So when the news of the rebels spread, the British Lieutenant General visited the indigo plantation districts in the year 1859 during the winter season. And students, this visit by the British Lieutenant General was taken by the peasants as a sign of sympathy and support towards them. So since the Lieutenant General visited their place, they thought that they will be supported by the British government as well. So this kind of misunderstandings took place, which resulted in the rebellion. And students, another misunderstanding took place when in Barasat, which is a place in Kolkata, the magistrate Ashley Eden issued a notice where it was stated or where it was written that the peasants should not be forced to sign contracts. And this notice by the magistrate was misunderstood by the peasants as a declaration from Queen Victoria. They thought that this is not a notice by the magistrate. They rather thought that it is a declaration from the Queen herself, where it was written that they need not cultivate indigo anymore. So students, this kind of misunderstandings actually led to the Blue Rebellion. The peasants, since they were very simple persons, they thought that they will be supported by the zamindars, they will be supported by the village headmen, they thought that they will have the support of the British government as well. But these things did not turn into reality. These were actually misunderstandings which took place in the minds of the peasants, which led to this rebellion. Okay. So students, when these rebellions spread, intellectuals or scholars from Calcutta, they started heading towards the indigo plantation districts, and then they started writing about the tyranny of the indigo cultivators, about the plight or about the misery of the riots or the peasants. And then they started writing articles about how horrifying or how oppressive the truth of indigo cultivation actually was. So the news of indigo cultivation spread across the country and across the world. So students, after this rebellion, what was the response of the British government to this rebellion? So worried by the rebellion, the government this time they bought military to protect the planters from the attack of the cultivators, from the attack of the peasants or the riots. They were so worried, or they were so terrified, that they thought that they could not protect themselves. So that is why, in order to protect the planters, they bought military, they bought armed forces to protect the planters from the peasants. And students, a commission too was set up, an indigo commission was set up to inquire into the entire matter, to investigate whether who is guilty or who is not guilty. So students, as a verdict or as a final decision, it was decided that the planters actually were guilty, and they were also criticized for the coercive methods which were adopted by them to force the cultivators or to force the peasants to grow indigo. The planters were held guilty by the commission, and it was also decided that the planters should not force the ryots or the peasants anymore to cultivate indigo, and the ryots were given the right to refuse to produce indigo in future. Just it was required that they should complete the ongoing contract. If they had if they had signed any contracts, they were just required to fulfill those contracts, the already signed contracts, but then they were given the right to refuse to produce indigo in future. So this was the verdict or the decision of the Indigo Committee which was set up. The planters were held guilty, and the ryots were they were freed from this oppressive policy of the planters, and the ryots were asked to just complete the already signed contracts, but then they were given the right to refuse to grow indigo anymore. So students, after this verdict by the Indigo Committee, the indigo cultivation in Bengal, it started collapsing. It came to an end. And then students, what happened? Since the planters could no longer cultivate indigo in Bengal, this time they shifted this operation to Bihar, because Bihar also had plenty of fertile land. So since they had already exploited the peasants in Bengal, their job in Bengal was over. This time they shifted the same operation to Bihar. So the same exploitative policies were started in Bihar this time. So students, what happened? The discovery of synthetic dyes in the late 19th century, it started affecting the indigo business, but then also the planters, they somehow managed to expand their indigo cultivation business. So students, what happened when Mahatma Gandhi returned from South Africa to India? One peasant, he was from Bihar. He requested or he persuaded Mahatma Gandhi to visit Champaran district from Bihar to witness or to see the plight of the peasants of who were forced by the planters to cultivate indigo. That means the same scenario which took place in Bengal now started taking place in Bihar. So one peasant from Champaran district, which is in Bihar, he persuaded or requested Mahatma Gandhi to go to his place so that Mahatma Gandhi can see the plight or the tyranny of the peasants from Champaran district. And students, after the visit to Champaran district by Mahatma Gandhi, this marked the beginning of the Champaran movement against the indigo planters. Soon students, another movement took place against the planters. This time this movement was started by whom? By the planters in Bihar, and the name of this movement was Champaran movement. Why? Because it was started in the Champaran district. Okay. So students, this brings us to the end of this chapter. So what we have discussed today? We discussed today about the Blue Rebellion, how the peasants or the ryots from Bengal started to revolt against the oppressive policies of the planters, who forced the ryots or the planters to cultivate indigo. So why this rebellion started? This rebellion was started due to many reasons. First, the peasants, they thought that they will be supported by the zamindars, they will be supported by the village headmen. They also expected support from the British government because their place was visited by the Lieutenant General, because a notice was issued by magistrate, and then they misunderstood this notice as a declaration by the Queen herself. So they thought that they will have the support of the Queen as well. They thought that they will have the support of the British government as well. And students, in order to investigate about the entire matter, a committee, one indigo committee was set up, and the committee decided, or the final verdict of the committee was that the planters were held guilty, and the indigo and the indigo peasants were given the liberty to not sign any more contracts in the future, but they were just required to fulfill the already signed contracts. So in this way, the oppressive policy of indigo cultivation in Bengal came to an end. But students, soon after Bengal, the same policy or same operation was started in Bihar. Later on, the peasants from Bihar also started complaining against this tyranny which was faced by them, and against this exploitative policy of the indigo planters. So these led to the Champaran movement against the indigo planters in Bihar. Okay. So students, tomorrow you have your chapter test on this chapter. So I wish you all the best not only for your chapter test but for your PT1 exam as well. So students, I wish you happy holidays, and in case if you have any doubts or difficulties, do contact me. I will surely help you. I will be free for you all 24/7. You can call me or you can even message me. Okay then students, on this note, let's end today's class here. Wish you all the luck for your upcoming exam, for the chapter test and for the PT1. Thank you and take care. Have a nice day.